Ladies and gentlemen, there is a quiet power that lives within each person, a force not dependent on title, appearance, or the circumstances of one's life. It is not loud. It does not seek attention. It waits, often in silence, but for the moment a person chooses to awaken it. This power is belief. Belief in the self. You see, many people walk through their lives as if they are wearing heavy chains, chains forged by past mistakes, by the judgments of others, by fear of not measuring up. And so they move carefully, cautiously, not wanting to upset the balance or risk the unknown. They wait for someone to tell them they are good enough. They look outside themselves, seeking permission to begin. But the truth is, the most profound and lasting change never comes from the outside. It begins with one choice, the decision to believe in yourself. This belief is not a grand declaration. It is not a performance. It is a subtle shift, a realignment. It is the moment you turn inward and see clearly that what you need, you already carry. That you do not need to chase approval or validation, because your worth is not determined by external things. It is inherent. It was there the moment you took your first breath. When this realization takes root, everything begins to change, not because the world has shifted, but because your relationship with it has. What once looked like an obstacle now becomes a challenge to rise to. What once felt like failure now becomes a lesson in strength. The outer world becomes a mirror reflecting the strength you are now willing to recognize within. But the mind will resist this. It will argue. It will remind you of every flaw, every failure, every time you fell short. This is the nature of an undisciplined mind. It clings to the past and fears the future. That is why belief must begin in the present moment. It must be grounded in presence, in awareness. To believe in yourself is to quiet the noise of doubt, to return again and again to the still place inside where truth lives. That truth does not scream. It whispers, and it says, you are enough. Not because of what you've done or what you've proven, but because you are here, because you are alive. Because you are willing to grow. This type of belief is not passive. It asks something of you. It asks for responsibility. It asks for daily effort, not perfection, but presence. Not achievement, but alignment. It asks you to stop hiding, to stop waiting, and to step forward with what you have now. And so the path begins, not outside of you, not in some future moment when you finally become ready, but here, in this breath, in this step, in this single decision to trust yourself, even if the path ahead is uncertain. You do not need to know how everything will unfold. You only need to take one step with clarity. That step builds momentum. And over time, the one who once hesitated becomes the one who leads. The one who once doubted becomes the one others turn to for guidance. But this only happens if you are willing to begin, if you are willing to believe. There will be resistance. That is to be expected. Growth is not supposed to be comfortable. Believing yourself will be tested by circumstances, by people, and by the old voices that still live in your mind. But this is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are moving in the right direction. Find that you are moving in the right direction. The seed must push through the earth before it touches the sun. In the end, no one else can walk this path for you. No one else can give you the certainty you seek. That certainty must be found within. And when it is, no storm will shake it. Because you are no longer building from the outside in. You are rooted, grounded, and ready. When you believe in you, you no longer fear the unknown. You become curious. You no longer compare your path to others. You honor your own. And slowly, the world begins to reflect your inner truth. So let the belief begin now. Not tomorrow. Not when things feel perfect, but here, in stillness. And trust that every act of cultivation, no matter how small, is building something within you that cannot be broken. There is a difference between striving and aligning. Many people spend their lives striving, chasing achievements, chasing recognition, chasing identities that were never truly theirs. This constant pursuit often brings exhaustion, not fulfillment. It creates a disconnection from who they truly are, because in their effort to become someone, they have forgotten how to simply be. Belief in the self is not about becoming something more. It is about remembering who you are beneath the noise, beneath the expectations, beneath the fear, beneath the conditioning. When belief arises from within, it does not push, it pulls, it draws you inward, closer to your essence. This is not about ambition. This is about alignment. To align with your true nature means to walk in harmony with your own rhythm. It means that your thoughts, your words, and your actions are no longer in conflict with each other. There is a quiet coherence. You do not say one thing and do another. You do not live a life for others while denying your own needs. You begin to live honestly, and in doing so, your energy no longer leaks in 100 directions. It becomes focused, clear, strong. True belief is not noisy. It does not seek approval. It does not need to be announced. It lives in how you carry yourself. In your silence, in your stillness, in your steady actions, you begin to move from intention, not from reaction, from clarity, not confusion. This is the result of returning to your center. When you believe in yourself, you stop chasing roles you were never meant to play. You stop wearing masks to please the world. You begin to listen again to the quiet voice within that has always known the way. It may have been buried for years under fear, doubt, and noise. But it was never gone. Belief in yourself is what clears the dust and allows that voice to speak again. There is a deep peace that comes when you live in alignment. You understand that your path is your own and that your timing is perfect. That peace does not mean you are passive. On the contrary, it gives rise to calm, focused action. You are no longer wasting energy trying to be something else. You are simply expressing who you truly are with no apology. No apology. This kind of belief also brings responsibility. Because when you recognize your true nature, you can no longer pretend to be powerless. You can no longer blame the world for your circumstances. You begin to see that your choices matter. Your discipline matters. Your daily thoughts, your habits, your mindset, these shape your reality more than any external condition. It is easy to be distracted, easy to get pulled into comparison, doubt, or confusion. That is why returning to alignment must be a daily practice, not a one-time realization, but a way of living. To sit in silence, to observe the self, to remove what is false, to nourish what is true. When belief is rooted in alignment, you do not need motivation to act. You move because it is natural to move. You speak because it is natural to express. You are no longer forcing your way through life. You are flowing with it. And this flow is not weak. It is powerful. It is precise. It knows exactly when to push and when to let go. In a world that tells you to do more, to be more, to be more, to have more, the most courageous act is to return to yourself, to strip away what does not belong, to walk your path with clarity and stillness, to act not from the need to prove, but from the joy of expressing who you truly are. This is the gift of self-belief. It brings you back to yourself. And when you walk in alignment with who you are, the world no longer feels like something to conquer. It becomes something to contribute to. You are not here to be someone else. You are here to embody yourself fully. There is something noticeable almost unspoken, about a person who has begun to believe in themselves or me. It is not found in the loudness of their voice or the sharpness of their words, but in the way they move, the way they sit, the way they breathe. You can see in the eyes a calm clarity. You can sense it in their presence, a quiet strength that needs no introduction. Self-belief does not manifest in the form of arrogance or superiority. It does not demand attention. Rather, it transforms the very posture of a person. From the inside out, the spine becomes straight, the head no longer hangs in uncertainty, and the body moves not in haste, but in intention. Each gesture, each word is no longer the product of insecurity or overcompensation. Instead, it is the natural expression of someone who has come home to themselves. When belief begins to take root within, the nervous energy that once dictated every decision slowly dissolves. You are no longer trying to please everyone. You are no longer trapped in the need to prove yourself through endless action. Instead, you begin to move from stillness. And from this stillness, you act with precision. You speak less, but say more. You listen more, but absorb only what serves you. Confidence that is rooted in belief does not shout. It breathes, it listens, it observes, it responds. It does not act for validation. It acts out of alignment. It is not rushed by urgency, nor is it paralyzed by fear. It knows that what must be done will be done, not through force, but through flow. This transformation of how one carries themselves is not theatrical. It is subtle. It begins first in the inner space. When you begin to believe in yourself, the internal noise begins to settle. The voices that say you're not ready or you're not enough begin to lose their grip. And in that silence, a deeper voice rises. The one that says, this is who you are. This is your path. Walk it. Because your internal state always reflects outwardly, this inner belief begins to shape your physical being. You become less reactive, more responsive. You stop shrinking in rooms and you no longer overextend to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You walk as someone who is grounded, not in ego, but in presence. Others begin to feel this shift too, even if they cannot name it. They notice the way you hold space, the way you say no without guilt, the way you say yes with full commitment. They feel safe around you, not because you are trying to make them comfortable, but because your own inner peace invites them into stillness. This change in how you carry yourself is not immediate. It is gradual. It comes from repetition, from returning again and again to the truth within you. It requires awareness. You must learn to observe yourself, not to judge, but to understand. Where are you holding tension? Where are you holding tension? Where are you moving from fear? What are you avoiding? And why? These questions lead you into a deeper understanding of your patterns. And once you see clearly, you can choose differently. Belief allows you to drop what is not needed. The masks, the armor, the postures of self-defense. You no longer need to pretend. You begin to embody the essence of authenticity, honest, strong, and clear. You walk into a room not to take, but to offer. You no longer seek energy. You become the source of it. The transformation in your presence is not for others to applaud. It is for you to experience. It brings a peace that cannot be given by titles or praise. It is the quiet reward of knowing that who you are right now, without needing to change, is enough to carry you forward. So, continue the practice. Continue to return to the body, to the breath, to the awareness of this moment. Let belief shape not just your thoughts, but your posture, your rhythm, your way of being in the world. Move with intention. Speak with clarity. Be fully where you are. Because the one who believes in themselves does not need to chase life. They invite life to meet them where they stand, rooted, calm, and awake. There is a common misconception that belief, once awakened, remains with us forever. That once we have touched that inner power, it will stay unwavering and permanent. But belief, like the breath, is something that must be renewed. Just as you do not breathe once and expect to live, you cannot believe once and expect that belief to carry you through all of life's challenges. Every day, you are met with choices. Choices to listen to the voice of doubt or to the voice of trust. Choices to stand up or shrink back. Unbelief, true belief in yourself, is not an emotion that simply arrives and stays. It is a decision you must make repeatedly, especially on the days when it feels hardest to do so. Some mornings, belief will feel effortless. The sky will seem clear, your energy balanced, and your path illuminated. On those days, it is easy to move forward. But the true test of belief does not come when the way is smooth. That comes when the path is obscured by fog, when the heart feels heavy, when the mind is noisy, when failure has just knocked at your door. In those moments, the question is not, do I feel strong today? Do I feel strong today? The question is, am I willing to return to my strength even when I cannot see it clearly? That is the daily choice. To return, to begin again, to remember what you are, even when the world tries to make you forget. Belief is not about being certain of everything. It is about being willing to move even in uncertainty. It is about acting in alignment with your values, even when fear tries to slow your steps. It is not loud. It does not always feel powerful. Sometimes it is quiet and trembling, but it shows up nonetheless. When you begin to understand belief as a practice, not as a permanent state, you free yourself from the pressure of always needing to feel confident. You begin to see that you are not failing when doubt arises. You are only being invited to recommit, to recommit, to reconnect. Choose again. And this choosing, this return, is what builds resilience. It is what creates strength. Not the strength of pretending to be unshakable, but the strength of continuing to walk, even when the ground beneath you feels unstable. This is why presence is essential. When you are present, truly present, you can see clearly what is arising within you. You can recognize when you are slipping into fear or negativity. And in that recognition, you have the power to shift. Not forcefully, not with pressure, but with awareness. Gently, you return to the breath. You feel your body. You remember, I am here. I am alive. I can choose again. No one can make this choice for you. Others can inspire, support, and encourage. But the final decision must come from within. And when it does, even if it is quiet and small, it sends a ripple through everything you do. That single decision to believe again, to try again, to stand again is how momentum begins. Over time, these daily choices accumulate. They form the foundation of trust within yourself. They create a deeper kind of belief, one that no longer relies on emotion, but on commitment. You begin to believe, not because you always feel like it, but because you have proven to yourself again and again that you will not abandon your path. There is dignity in that. There is power in the one who rises not because they are certain, but because they are willing to show up, willing to grow, willing to face the discomfort and walk through it rather than turn away. Belief, when practiced daily, becomes part of your nature. It no longer needs to be forced. It flows. It flows. It flows. It informs how you act, how you respond, how you carry yourself in every moment. So do not wait for the perfect moment to believe. Create it. And if the belief feels distant, do not panic. Simply return to the practice. One breath, one breath, one choice, one small act of alignment. This is enough. And over time, this daily choice becomes the steady fire that lights your path, no matter how dark the road may seem. Life is not meant to be lived without resistance. Just as the body grows stronger through tension and the mind sharpens through challenge, so too the spirit develops through obstacles. When belief in oneself is present, challenges lose their identity as problems. They are no longer seen as enemies to be avoided, but as necessary companions on the path of inner growth. Many people look at difficulties as interruptions to their journey, as if the presence of struggle somehow means something has gone wrong. But in truth, struggle is a signal. It is the universe's way of preparing you, refining you, shaping you into someone capable of holding what you've asked for. Without resistance, there is no transformation. Without pressure, there is no evolution. When you carry belief within, your relationship with challenge changes. So, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what is this teaching me? This one question holds the power to unlock clarity, direction, and strength from situations that once felt overwhelming. And it is only possible when belief in your ability to learn, adapt, and rise is present. There is wisdom in the way nature operates. Trees grow tall, not because they avoid the wind, but because they meet it. The roots dig deeper. The trunk strengthens. The leaves bend, but do not break. Don't break. This resilience is not accidental. It is a response, a result of years of meeting the forces that try to shake them, not with fear, but with presence. So too, your challenges are not punishments. They are invitations to become more focused, more aware, more connected to your purpose. When you believe in yourself, you begin to respond rather than react. You use the energy of the challenge to go inward and ask, where can I grow? What can I refine? What must I release? Belief does not eliminate difficulty. It transforms it. It changes the meaning behind the experience. And once the meaning changes, the weight of the challenge begins to shift. It becomes lighter, not because it is easier, but because you are stronger. But this transformation does not happen automatically. It requires mindfulness. It requires effort. You must observe yourself. You must observe adversity. You must pause and look closely. How are you speaking to yourself? What thoughts are arising? What emotions are pulling you in different directions? This level of self-awareness is the soil in which growth happens. When belief is alive within you, there is alive within you. There is a sense of calm, even in chaos. Not because the situation is under control, but because you are. You trust your capacity to find clarity. You trust your resilience. You understand that discomfort is not the end. It is the beginning of a deeper understanding. Growth is rarely visible in the moment. Often, it is only in hindsight that we realize how much we've been shaped by the challenges we endured. But belief gives you the patience to keep moving forward, even when you don't see the result yet. It teaches you that every step, no matter how small, is meaningful. Small is meaningful. You stop fearing failure because you understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. Every mistake becomes a message. Every setback becomes a mirror. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to align more deeply with your values, your vision, your true self. This is the strength of one who believes in themselves. They do not crumble when the wind rises. They adjust, they observe, they stay rooted, and through the process, they become more than they were before. So welcome the challenge. Do not wish it away. Do not curse its arrival. Instead, Bow your head in respect and ask what it has come to teach you. Then rise, breathe, and walk forward, not with fear, but with the quiet knowing that you are being shaped for something greater. Because when belief becomes the lens through which you view your challenges, nothing is wasted. Every hardship, every detour, every storm becomes part of your transformation.